Hello and welcome everyone to our webinar today. We are back with another talk show after you all showed love and compassion to our previous guests. Interestingly, today's session is very important for Team Calm Sage as our own team member has come up and shared her story of clinical depression. Honestly, when I learned about it before the interview, I was quite shocked by the pain of distressing thoughts that she had. But seeing her happy, cheerful, and bubbly persona today is just enough to put a smile on my face. Our motto of conducting this interview is to spread the importance of therapies in an individual's life, understanding a kind of its depression, and be vocal about it. We are hoping to spread positivity and give a balance to mental health. So, without a further ado, let me welcome Swarnakshi Sharma, who happens to be a content curator as well as core team member of CalmSage. So, Swarnakshi, welcome aboard. How are you?
Hi, Akansha. Thank you for having me. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, so shall we begin?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Swarnakshi, as you told us that you went through clinical depression a few years back, would you like to elaborate the cause of it, symptoms, and your feelings during that tough phase?
So where do I begin? So it started. The first symptoms I started to notice were in high school. I was being bullied relentlessly, and I couldn't. At that time, I thought it was just a teenage phase. That I'm just going through a phase. It will be fine. When I leave high school, when I go to college, it will be fine. When I'll meet new people, it will be different. But when this continued, this crazy hopelessness, this feeling of being worthless continued in college. It Then I started to think about what is happening in real.
Hmm.
I was filled with negative energy, and my friends pointed out to me that at that time I was thinking everything negative. There was nothing. There was no positive aura surrounding me, and I think that was when I realized that this is something, not a phase, but this is something real and serious. Because in high school we didn't talk about depression as much as we talk about it now. So when I graduated college, then I started researching about what depression actually is, and then I started reaching out to talk to people, therapists, that what can be done to get me out of this feeling. Because this was, like, at that point I considered ending my life. So it became like a very deep and dark phase in my life, which I needed to get out of.
Okay, so how long did this phase continue for? From high school to college? How many
This
years?
from high school. This was, I think it went for seven years, like almost 7 years. When the It
Okay.
was a long time to feel this intense hopelessness.
And
So
for all those years, you were not in a very good phase, not
no,
in a very good.
I wasn't doing anything. I was not able to concentrate on my studies, on my life in general. Friends cut me out of their lives because I wasn't able to communicate what I was feeling, and I shut them out. I withdrew from society as a whole. I didn't go to family functions either. I didn't do anything. I didn't talk to my parents, my sister, anyone. So it became a very dark time in my life. I couldn't do anything. I didn't have the energy to do anything.
Oh, so you started with this teenage depression phase in the
Yes,
teenage,
in
and
it.
then you moved into the adulthood as well with the same
Yeah.
depression. And the
Yeah, so
society,
then I was,
they were like, wow, how seriously?
yeah, I wasn't, like, I denied it myself that this was not this didn't happen. I went from doing something drastic to not accepting that I did that, and I denied it to myself that this didn't happen. I just jumped that chapter in my life. When I think it was 2016 when I first opened up about it, and then I realized that hiding it in me was not going to help me heal. So then
Okay.
that was the first time I came out and told my friends and my family about it.
So we are glad that you did not take any any wrong step in that phase. Okay, that's good. Okay. Okay, so my next question comes is that uh, how do you think your social and emotional health was affected during this clinical depression?
Like I said, I lost many of my friends, and I withdrew completely from social activities. I stopped talking to people. My parents literally dragged me out of my room to, talk to them, sit with them. They told me that you should, what's happening, what's wrong with you, how can we help you. I
Mm.
couldn't explain it to them that what was happening to me, because I was not able to understand myself. When you're going through something as drastic as depression, you
Mm.
don't actually feel emotions. So I was getting very angry, but I couldn't muster the energy to yell or to actually get angry. I couldn't cry. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't cry because there was no emotions that I could feel that would bring up that feeling, that stinging in your eyes kind of crying thing.
Right.
And that was very disheartening, because I knew that something was wrong with me, but I didn't know what.
Okay. So, I mean, would you mind me asking if there was any special incident or anything unique that became the part of beginning of this phase, beginning of this depression? Was there anything
So the
unique?
first, yeah, the first thing was that I was bullied relentlessly. That's the
Mm.
first incident that I can remember, was that people would be calling me names and they would be making fun of me. I think that was the first time that I really felt my self confidence go downhill.
Yeah.
And after that, there was some incidents in college where people would just ignore me completely, and they wouldn't even try to talk to me or engage me in things, activities that they were participating in. And
Mm.
I think that was what triggered it, that I there was something wrong with me, and that I just kept feeling that there is something wrong with me, and that I don't deserve anything, that I'm worthless, and that kind of feelings that just dressed up.
Okay. Okay. So then, okay, after all these 7 years that you were saying, then how did you decide that you should go and now see a therapist?
Okay, so on this issue, my mother and I had a very huge fight, because I understood that there was something wrong with me,
Mm.
and that after college I realized that this feeling that I was feeling, I termed it as, I read this term somewhere, that soul sickness. So I
Okay.
researched about what soul sickness is. That there's this intense feeling of hopelessness, and that you don't have the energy to do anything.
Mm.
And I remembered researching more about it, and then I came across depression.
Mm.
And I think I knew that depression, I need to get help, because somewhere in my mind I knew that if I went and asked for help, I will
Mm.
get better, and I will not feel as a failure anymore. So I talked to my mother. She said, she and I had a huge fight. She said that no, I don't need to go a therapist, I can do it myself, this is all in my head. And at that point I was talking to a friend of mine, and she was an intern at that time, she was a doctor. So I asked her, do you know any psychologist who can help me? And I guess my mother realized that I was pretty serious about this, so she took me to see one. And I knew that asking for help is going to help me,
Mm.
and not the other way around.
Right. So this is really good that you realized it yourself. Uh, but yeah, amazing. Okay. So as we were talking earlier before this interview also that you were suggested
Mm.
cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT.
Yeah.
So would you like to give some idea about it to the viewers? Because many of us have just heard and read about it. But coming from you, I think would be really great.
Okay, so CBT is more of a short-term therapy treatment. It doesn't take more than 10 to 12 sessions to really.
Okay.
Because my depression at that point was, just on a clinical level, was not very severe.
Mm.
So I was, all I needed to do was change my thinking process. Like I said before, I was thinking very negatively all the time.
Mm.
So in CBT, the therapist works with you, and they help you figure out the source of your problems, of your negativity, and
Mm.
then change it into positive thinking. So I remember my therapist was a very, very kind and very patient woman. And she told me to, if I'm thinking anything negative, she told
Mm.
me to think equally positive thought for that situation as well.
Right.
And it was kind of reassuring, because if I was thinking that, oh no, I'm a failure, then she would tell me to think that this is just one step,
Mm.
one barrier that I'm facing, and
Mm.
I can do better.
Right.
I'm not a failure. Everyone makes mistakes.
Mm.
Everyone's life has a barrier that they have to cross. And that kind of thinking, she helped me change that thinking. I remember one practice that she told me, I still do sometime. She told me when I wake up in the morning, to keep my eyes closed, rub my palms together and put
Hmm.
them on my eyes, and think about a very blue positive light going into me.
Mhm.
And doing that exercise was very healthy for me, because at that point I was contemplating not waking up in the morning, not getting up from my bed.
Hmm.
And that activity really helped me figure out that okay, this is fine, this is just another day, I
Hmm.
can get through this. And
Hmm.
this is just a light, that this light is going to help me get through this day very positively. So CBT just basically helped me, because I was looking for a short term treatment. My depression wasn't very severe at that point, so CBT is very short term treatment that really helped me, and I still do some of the practices she told me to do.
Wow, that's nice. So I think I want to add one thing to our viewers here as well, that this is the difference between speaking to a psychiatrist or a psychologist rather than speaking to a friend, because there is a difference between advice and therapy, right? Because a therapist, as
Yeah.
you told, that they work along with you and you both together find a solution to something. But when you talk
Mhm.
to a friend or anybody for an advice, that will be just a one-sided opinion, right?
Exactly,
So, do you
exactly.
agree?
So,
Uh,
yeah, because talking to my friends didn't have that same effect that I had
hmm,
after talking to a therapist. Because my friends would tell me that they would take me out for coffee and for dinner, and they
yeah.
would just like sit with us and talk to us. But they were not able to understand what I was feeling, what the source of my problems were. And going to a therapist really helped me figure out, identify, and my
Right.
problems, where they were arising from. I
That
think
is
is a
true.
big difference.
That is true. So your friends can be a good mood buster here.
Yeah,
And even,
they
of course,
can.
they can solve a problem. We are not, of course, against. But of course, I think
No, there
we.
is there is still instances when I call my friend up, and I will just rant about my problems, and she'll help me figure out what is wrong with me. Because
Right.
there are times when I just need someone to talk to, not a therapist, because I don't
Hmm.
think I'm again in that phase, but someone
Hmm.
just to help me figure out what is wrong with me. And
Right.
talking to a friend really helps me figure out that okay, this is not something depression related. This is just something that happened in my day that I'm reeling from.
Okay. Okay. So, from your personal experiences, like we know that you visited the therapist, but is there anything else that you recommend everyone to try at home, along with the therapy to treat depression? Like, as you said, your therapist used to tell you this exercise. So, anything else that
Mhm.
you would recommend everyone here?
I would say don't stop doing what you love doing, because I did. I am not very good expressing my emotions verbally when I'm with writing.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped that completely. I didn't even write anything, or I stopped texting even.
Okay.
Um, and it really put a dent in my confidence as well as a writer. And I would just say that whatever you do, whatever happens in your life, don't stop doing things you love. Because if once you do that, there's no coming back, and that will take weeks and months to come back. Because it took me months to get back into the writing habit. The other thing that I used to do was bake. That's how
Okay.
I learned baking. Because
Mm-hmm.
baking is such a meticulous process that you need to have full concentration on that, right? Because if you mix one ingredient with the other, it's just going to turn a disaster than a good thing. So
Mm-hmm.
when I used to overthink things, that I felt that I was going back to the dark phase, I would just go and start baking. Mixing those ingredients was like a mindfulness practice for me.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that, I would be sure that I knew that I was in the moment, that I couldn't make any mistakes, and that if thinking in being in my head was not better, then I was doing something that I was not in my head at that time. I was actually physically doing something that would keep me from going back there. So
Right.
just figure out something else, something to help you, cope with that kind of feelings. I also started getting up early in the mornings, because
Okay.
first of all, was not able to get up in the mornings at all. I was not sleeping. There was a time in my life when I didn't sleep for like whole nights. There was like weeks I didn't sleep. I would just get up, drink some coffee, and function basically on coffee. I stopped eating. either I would eat too much or I wouldn't eat all day, not even lunch or breakfast or anything.
Okay.
And I started a routine, getting up early in the morning, going for a walk, coming back, doing something to keep myself busy all day, and then going to sleep at a proper bedtime. And I would do something all day, some kind of physical activity all day, that I would be too tired to stay awake all night. So that kind of helped me.
Okay. Okay. So you recommend everybody that you should, even if you don't have any hobby, maybe develop one, or maybe one or
Exactly.
two, and then try
Just
to
get
keep
into a
yourself.
routine.
Yes, and being into a routine and having a disciplined life is
Yeah,
what is needed, right?
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
and one more thing here, I wanna have something, maybe a cookie, maybe a cake, maybe a pastry. I don't know. Now you said that you bake. I wanna have
Definitely.
something. So yes,
Definitely, definitely. That's
this is
coming up.
happening.
That's
Okay.
happening.
All right. So, okay. Another thing is that our viewers, and even I would like to know your idea about how important our social system is in this treatment, in the treatment of depression.
Okay. So, reaching out is, I think, one of the best things you can do.
Mm.
If you don't have a social support ready for you to catch you when you fall, then you won't be able to heal properly. Um, I think this has been discussed in previous webinars as well, that we are social, human beings are social beings. They
Mhm.
need contact. And I knew that because when I was alone, when I didn't have any friends, when my friends cut me out of their lives, I felt that there's no hope for me. But when I knew that, okay, my parents have accepted this, my friends have accepted, those who have left accepted this,
Mm.
and if I do need to fall back, I have a social support who will
Mm.
catch me, who will make sure that I'm back on my feet, even if I did go back to that dark phase. Building a support system or having a support system in your life is something that we all have to have, because
Right.
without that, I don't think we can heal properly. We cannot heal alone. That's like one of the facts of healing. We cannot heal alone. You have to have a support system to heal.
Okay. All right. So in your case also, when your parents understood about it and your friends understood
Yeah,
about it and they supported
later,
you.
but they did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay. So yeah, we earlier also we had a webinar with another person and another guest called Ankita. Even she had the similar story. Her parents did not agree earlier that there is something like a mental health issue or anything, but when they found out, they were there for her. So yes, I think
Yeah, it
this
it takes
is
time, because our parents are like, they have a different view on all these things. They don't understand what actually happens, and what how it affects our life.
right.
And it takes time for them to, they have to just be strong, be stubborn, and try to explain them as much with facts as possible, because in my parents case, they base all the decision on facts. So you have to present facts to them to help them understand what this is actually.
Okay, right. So, like, any more suggestions you want to give to our Calm Sage viewers today?
Okay, so this is something that I did with my one of my best friends. She was going through a very difficult phase,
Mm-hmm.
and I met her years back, and she was my friend from college. We didn't talk much, but then later we started talking. I met her, and she was very dull. She had a very dull look on her face, and I asked her what was wrong. She couldn't explain it to me. I knew she was depressed about something.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her to do one exercise. Always carry a notebook with me, right? So I asked her to write down her top three priorities in the notebook. And
Right.
she started, I remember very clearly, she started writing. On the top, she wrote family. The
Mm-hmm.
second, she wrote career. And third, she wrote health. And I asked her one thing, that in this list, where is you? Where do you stand on this list?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of your family? How are you going to tackle your career? And how are you going to help with your health? If you're not taking care of yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot do any of those things. So you need to make yourself your top priority.
Right.
And that's what I like to say to our viewers today, that whatever happens, whatever you go through, you have to take care of yourself, because if you don't do that, you won't be able to help the others in your life. There will be a time where you feel helpless, that you feel that you're alone, that no one is there to help you. But this is, you need to remember that you are not alone, that you do have a support system behind you. All you have to do is reach out and take it. You have to keep fighting because you deserve it.
Right. This is actually such a wonderful exercise. So, Sonakshi, on a personal note, do you also practice journal writing?
I do. I started this back when I was going through this, when I was I was in therapy, because I need to get back into writing habits. So I started doing journal writing in night. I would write what I did in the day in my journal, and that I still do it because that's something that keeps me focused and keeps my goals in order.
Right. I mean, even I started in 2016, and now even whenever I am very much frustrated, very much stressed, I don't know what I have to do, then there comes the writing that, okay, these are the things why I'm frustrated, and how do I have to find the solutions for it? And yeah,
it does help.
It does help, honestly. And then finally, when you realize that these were the problems, I just tear off the paper and throw it away. And I don't want to see this problem again in my entire life.
It helps you understand what was the problem and how to fix it, or do you have to fix it, or do you eliminate it from your life?
Right. Otherwise, I think whenever there are things in your head, things are not clear inside. But when they come on a paper, you actually able to realize that what is it, right?
Exactly. It helps.
Okay, so I think we're done with it. Thank you so much, Sonakshi, that you stood up.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm really thankful that you stood up not for yourself, but for you, giving your hand to every person who is in this similar situation today. And I think it was really amazing to learn so much from your journey. And again, you're not just a warrior, but an inspiration to all of us today.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Today, we want each and every one of you to understand the problems you're facing, stand up and ask for help. There is no harm or shame in doing so. In case you need any help, just drop us a message at info@calmsage.com and we will help you to connect further. Also, if you wish to share your journey with us, we are happy to have you on our webinar. Along with that, keep reading our blogs at calmsage.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. See you all very soon.